Dum ba dum ba dum. Dum dum dum. Okay, it's live. Hello and welcome. Today I want to work on adding possibility to use some item in your inventory, which in this case is the flower you have in your inventory, to climb higher by putting it on slippery walls. Before we start, I'm just gonna quickly post this live stream on my Discord server, which you're all very welcome to join if you want to. There's a link in the description. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, great. Then that's there. I can close this stuff. Yeah, so let me show the game. See what we have. So in the most recent streams, I have added this funny tree, and it has animations for you can pick up this wooden mallet and you can hit it with the mallet. I also can add animation at some point of the cat actually hitting it, but you hit this tree and it gets sad and all that. But the thing you get from this is you get flour in your inventory. I'm maybe gonna add so you pick it up manually somehow here, not sure exactly, but yeah, that's not so important right now. So you got your flour, and the reason you want flour is because the squirrel is sending you out on a quest to get 3 different things. You get flour and butter, and this is for, sorry about the Z fighting here, I have some layer things from the same layer. Yeah, the squirrel sends you out to find flour and butter for pancakes, and you also gonna need eggs. That's sort of the initial little quest of the game, just to get you to know the characters a bit and get to know the game a bit, stuff. And let's see here. So what I was thinking is that we can use, I would like to use these different items you get to do, I reset the game, to do, I want the first thing you get is the butter, which is it's in the root cellar over here by the squirrel. And when you have the butter, we will somehow use that to get to the flower tree over here, where you will get the flower. And the flower you will need to climb higher, meaning that over by where the egg is, there is some slippery sort of hills, or whatever you want to call them, some slippery walls, and yeah, you need to get up those. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So we can just, I wonder what the best way to experiment with this is. I have built a little cave system over here. So the idea here is that you come over here, I can teleport you here. Yeah, you come over here, and the egg, the bird with the egg is up here. So you run up here, blah blah blah. You go into this cave. This cave used to be this tiny, but I rebuilt it, so you sort of have to go in here and then go up again. But initially I thought that maybe there would be something blocking your way here, but it's more fun if you use, you know, some kind of new mechanic you figured out. So what I'm thinking of doing here is to have like a slippery wall you must climb up, and the only way to climb that up is to put flour on it to make it stickier. So you get these different items that will help you, and it's all in a very whimsical way, sort of pancake theme. Like the whole game is like, oh, it's this thing about making pancakes, but then you actually end up using the ingredients for getting around your little adventure. So that's what I want to do here. So we can start with cleaning this up a bit. Can hide those things, and can remove these walls, remove this, go to the back layer here and remove these things as well. So thinking maybe you know what would be great? It would be great to have some new tiles that I don't have a tile that cleanly goes into this kind of brown stuff. I can do that another time. I can do like that for now. Because now I can do like that, and then you sort of have a wall there. This wall is too high to climb, I think. Because if you... yeah, you get stuck. I'm gonna have a nicer thing here when you get stuck. Yeah. So I was thinking something like that. And I'm gonna maybe remove this little island as well. And then... let's see here. Maybe we pull this whole thing back a bit. There's a move tool here I can use for that. I can remove maybe... this move tool is not the best because it tends to select things in the background. Oh well, move some stuff over. Oops, I meant to do this. Move this stuff over like that maybe. Yeah, and then we go to the layer 0 again, maybe like this. And then maybe no, I don't have a... I would like a nice tile that sort of... I can do that for now. I need a tile that nicely goes into the brown stuff, you know. But this will do for now. And then we can make all this a bit nicer by using maybe... oh, maybe we'll have like a little cave thing going on here. Let's see. What fun pieces do I have to do that with? Maybe like this. And then this stuff, maybe can go like that. Maybe I can move these forward to layer 0. And then maybe I put this thing. Aha, it looks like that. That's funny. Yeah, I'm a bit limited here by my puzzle pieces of my tile set. I really should make some more. It goes very quickly to make some more also, but that's fine. That is fine. Let's see here if I have... oh yeah, I can just take this one here now, like that. Can I put this instead? No, because these pieces are a bit nicer. Seems like I don't have a piece to go from that one like that. This will do for now. See? Yeah, that looks good. Oh, now you're outside. And now you kind of can't get up here. It's too high. So I was thinking that we will just try. This is simple to try to add a new mechanic here to have this wall. This wall needs to look a bit different, and it needs to look a bit different, sort of hinting that it's slippery and stuff. And then I will teach the player how to use this also, just when you get the flower, because you need to get out of that area, and there will be some. But I can just try it over here first. Yeah. I wonder how high. So okay, so normally you can climb this high. I should really fix this. Let's maybe fix that shaking animation. What's the... What's going on the computer over here? So this one goes this high. This is how high you can normally climb. I'm thinking maybe this one should be less. Let's see how high that can go right now. This is 3 pieces. I think that's... Yeah, that works. Oh, a bit buggy when you get a... But I don't think you can get up this. Or can you? Yeah, 4 pieces works. Let's run back through the level and just see. Maybe we should limit the normal climb to be like 2 pieces high. 2 tiles high. And... Oi! Ah, I know what happened there. There was the camera got sad. If you change the window size, then the camera things can get a bit sad. Okay, here is 2 pieces high. I think maybe that before with the sort of flower that you can put on walls to make them stickier, you can climb 3 or 4 tiles high, while without it you can only climb maybe 2 tiles high or something. Or maybe it's good like it is, because you also need to teach the player how to climb before you add more things, so that like this thing will modify how you can climb and stuff. So hello John, thank you. Oh, by the way, during the last stream I did, I had a bug on YouTube, so I didn't see the chat. I thought there was no one writing anything, and then I looked at the replay afterwards, where there's like a chat replay, and then I noticed that there was lots of people writing stuff, and I felt a bit bad because there was some very nice questions in there and stuff. But anyways, that's how it is sometimes. Things are broken. No, I think maybe I'll keep it so you can always climb 3 high like that, but maybe not 4. So let's go, if we go back to the cave like this. I'm also gonna close some stuff here. So my computer is a bit sad, I notice. Do like this. Okay, maybe I don't want you to be able to climb this high, right? But I want you to be able to climb 1 square less. But the question is also, from where do you measure? Do you measure from where you stand, or currently I think it measures from where you started? So if I... Oh yeah, there's a little... So by the way, also I have, between the streams, this and the previous stream, I have reworked the physics. I got some good tips and ideas of how to make my physics behave better. So I have actually... I used to just use... My physics is like... I can show... Like, my physics is very simple. It just loops over the colliders in the world and compares the player collider to that one, and finds, using Raylib, the overlap of the collision rectangles, right? That's what it does. But, and if you just have axis aligned bounding boxes, meaning that they're not rotated or anything, that can work. But I had some trouble with it because I sometimes just fell through the ground and stuff. And there's two things I've done. The first thing was that I separated the Y and X components. So first I do the collision detection and resolve in Y direction, and after that I do it in the X direction. Because if you do both, like if you do them like this, then you can like decide that, oh, first I want to push it out in one direction and then take care of the X later, or you can do X first and Y later, depending what you want. But there was some very nice people in the Odin Discord that gave me some good ideas about this, because I used to have these two cases in the same, so that it just had a vector that it tried to push you with, and I even like sometimes just pushed in one direction based on which direction was biggest and stuff. And eventually you get to weird cases where you get pushed into the ground and you just fall through the ground and disappear into the void. So the split up help a lot to make it more predictable how it works. And there's no fancy collision detection like this get collision rec in Raylib. I have the C code here. It's just this, it's a box check, and then it also calculates for you the width of the overlap, like how if you have two rectangles, how much are they overlapping, and it kind of calculates that box. And that's all you need sort of to do a super simple collision detection for axis aligned boxes. The other thing I did was that I added a time step for the physics that it if the frame rate goes low, then it will step the physics multiple times until it so you're otherwise you can have like the player falling through the ground because the time step is so long that it traveled straight through the ground. Yeah. Anyways. So that's also one thing to notice here is that I use looper all the colliders here. Since my game is quite simple, I can do that. If I start seeing some performance problems with this, I can turn the world into some kind of I can partition the world a bit into like areas, so I only check within the colliders that are quite close. Hello Sasho Super. Yeah, there's no off-the-shelf game engine. This is just Odinlang plus Raylib, and so Raylib is a library for drawing stuff, and you can also do audio and stuff. I have some editors and stuff like this, but these are just part of the game. I press F2 when it jumps into this. So you can place tiles, and you can place entities, and you can define some new entities, and like choose how customized animations. And then there's also a dialogue editor with sort of a graph. And I have a video on how I made this graph tool on my channel. And you're asking what game I'm making. It's this game where you're this cat who wakes up in this cave, and you go on a little adventure to you go meet your friend the squirrel, and the squirrel wants you to help make pancakes, and then you have to go find some different ingredients. But when you fetch all the ingredients, something quite unexpected happens, and you have to essentially find your friend a new home because the squirrel's tree gets cut down. The squirrel lives in this tree over here. The squirrel will give you like this little quests. So it's essentially supposed to play like a side-scroller adventure game. You will have like possibility to talk to people, pick stuff up, use items you picked up with, give to people, or use it with things, and then you and then you also have some like simple platforming. You can jump and like slide down things and climb up stuff and such. But yeah, it's no big. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what if it's no big. I'm gonna do something here. I think it's something is up with. I turned on VSync and it was fine, but now when I started streaming, everything is behaving a bit weird. So I'm gonna try turning the game off, and because I need to turn it off to turn off VSync. Now it runs smoother. I will investigate that later. Okay. What were we doing? Yes, we were trying to figure out this. Let's move the player. I'm gonna delete the player over here. Move it to the cave so we always start there, even if we start the game. Dum 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 dum. So let's go here, place this guy here, and then maybe pull it forward to layer 5 or something. Then we can reset it and we're in here instead. So yeah, so the first, I was experimenting a bit here with how high you can climb. I'm gonna hide these extras. These are free, so let's try seeing here. So this is maximum height I want you to be able to climb. Let's just fine tune this a bit for now, so we got this whole like we want it to be. So that works. I always want that to work, and I think I want it to be based on which height were you standing on when you started climbing. Otherwise it's very hard to sort of measure it. The reason I started talking about physics was that there is because I redid the physics a bit, there are slightly more physics bugs now and things are a bit off sometimes, but I will fix those over time. So that one I don't want to happen right now. That one I don't want to happen. Yeah. See what chat is saying. Yeah, so asking if there's gonna be like puzzles or some more complicated platforming or a bit of both. I see it as some kind of this is supposed to be sort of a short game with maybe a bit of focus on the storytelling a bit. So it's gonna be this quite unusual little adventure, and you're gonna quickly get like taken between different environments. So a lot of it is gonna be you going and like trying to help people with what is seemingly quite simple things, but it's not that long in time, so it doesn't become tedious. And then there will be some light platforming, and then there'll be a story. So it is in some sense a bit casual, that everyone can sort of enjoy it, but it's supposed to be this feeling of that it's maybe, you know, a game that takes, I don't know, 30-40 minutes to complete a playthrough of, but it does take you to interesting places, and you do it in this very whimsical way where the squirrel is asking you to go get these items, and then you can use them for to get further in the game and stuff. So it's mostly, yeah, I usually describe it as sort of a whimsical narrative driven little adventure game or something. I had to think of that elevator pitch, but we'll see. But I'm also letting it grow a bit however I want over time. You know, I'm not super strict about what it's supposed to be. I try to have a strong enough vision to get going and go forward, but then I also let the game tell me a bit how it wants to be, which might sound weird, but Anyways, so this is 4 squares now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, why does it... Okay, let's look into a few bugs here. So the first thing is that it does this weird... When I press up key here, I should have something on, like a HUD on screen that shows which key I press. Dot up. Yeah, that is translated into a... That is translated into some kind of... I think try grab will try to make it so that you... No, it doesn't. Player state hang. What is it that makes it go into that state? That is input.y. Aha, this is it. Okay, I see. So you're in the normal state of the player character. And thank you, Sasho, super. I think it will go okay. The things that are new to me is mostly... I haven't done that much game design, and 2D animation is... I haven't done that much, but I'm sort of figuring it out. Okay, so this one says if input.y is upwards, that means that I press the up key and I collide in front, then it goes into wall slide mode. And I think this is supposed to be so you can just climb straight up a wall. I might just remove this, because I don't think it's... Like, either you jump into the wall and try to climb up because you hold space. Also, these are more physics bugs. You see, sometimes it doesn't reach the wall. There it reached the wall. Here it didn't. But yeah, I would iron all those out. That's because of the changes to the physics. Yeah, so now I just remove that, so it no longer happens. So what I want to do is something simple where you can just... You jump and you still hold spacebar while you go into the wall. It's sort of like, you know, in Zelda, what's it called, the newer games, and then in like a short hike and stuff, you just hold the jump key after you jump up, I think, and then it starts climbing, something like that. Okay, so let's look at how this climb works. Now I'm getting a bit sidetracked as usual. I was supposed to do some kind of the item stuff, but first I need to define what is the player's max climb height without the flower that makes you climb higher, and then I need to add the sort of sticky stuff to make it so that you can put flower and then climb higher and stuff. Here is wall so the climb is actually part of the wall slide state. Maybe I should separate them. We'll see. So this is when you're in wall slide. If jump is held and you haven't, this is the stuff that limits you. It's just hard coded right now. If the starting position of the state, which is when you get stuck to the wall, I think I want like last grounded pos. Do I have anything like that? Last grounded pos. Yes, I do. I should type something random and it exists. Maybe this will let me... Yeah, now I can't climb up there anymore. And then you're done. And it doesn't matter where like, if I can always climb exactly the same height because it's based on here where I stood. So that works fine. Okay, so that's good. I wonder if We should also make the wall slide stuff. Yeah, maybe it's time to split this into two states. One that is climbing and one that is sort of wall slide. Wall slide is when you're sliding down. So if I don't, like there's this thing that happens. It slides down. And I can also go up to a ledge, press the down key, and then press down again, and it slides down nicely. Yeah. So I might separate these things out maybe, because then I can maybe make something nicer, because this kind of mad shaking up here is easier to manage if it's separated a bit. We'll see. Let's see here. Maybe I'll remove some of these dark backgrounds just so it looks a bit nicer while I work on this. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. We will split it into two states. Wall slide. This is the wall slide state. So the player state is a union of different structs. The wall slide doesn't actually have any state in it even. Might do soon, because I might need something to limit you to not climb again after it. So I will do it like this. Let's first split it into a climb state. Player state climb. We go down here to the bottom. Put that in there. Then we recompile and we'll get compilation errors. And that's normal because you need to these need to implement all the cases for it switches on the state union. So you need to implement all the cases. Player state, what's it called? Climbing. And let's see. Yeah, so you want to, in this case, you want to be in the wall climb state. Yeah, we compile again. I think it's player state. Yeah, I like climbing because it's, oh, I did a funny multi-edit there. Like this. That is something that's actively done. And this stuff here is the code for getting your collider while you're in a specific state. Player state climbing. Okay, and then we think of it. When you're climbing, you actually don't want a collider because you don't want the physics to be like trying to... The climbing state is sort of this special state where it detects in other ways if you are still climbing or not. It doesn't try to push you out of collision because you will probably be inside the wall slightly or something because you're so close to it. And then we go down here and maybe we can put it next this one. We can put that next to, where is it? Wall slide. Here is the wall slide. So let's throw this in just above here. And then we say if not input.jump held. Well, then it's goodbye climb state. Then we need to run set state p player state wall slide instead. And so we got that fixed. Usually I like to put in a break here because it's actually not even in this state anymore after this has happened. So it's good to break out of this or put it at the bottom of this case. Otherwise we will update our animation for this state. And hello Max. And thank you, Sasho Super, and goodbye. And I agree that it's a lot about it's more about, like Sasha Super says, that developing a game is more about the path you walk rather than reaching the top of the mountain, which is a analogous way to say that it's more about how you make the game than what the end product you had in mind from the start is. So you will get your idea of what the game is will change, as you make it, and that's fine. And that's what I mean by you let the game tell you what it wants to be, because suddenly you will see like, oh, this mechanic I'm doing, it feels super awkward. Maybe you should rethink it. Or maybe there is some obvious nice mechanic you can put in there to make it nicer. Or maybe you have to, do some brainstorming, come up with something new. But I think especially when you're like semi-far into the game, if something is like when you have the game up and running, so you can play it a bit, then you will notice what works and doesn't, and then it's also sometimes easier to figure out maybe what you need to add, because it can be hard to do that before, because you have just like before you have anything on the screen, then the game could be anything, so you can just do whatever you want. But once you actually have like some game, and then you have made your own, what's it called? You have made your own limitations of what the game could be, because you don't want to, in order to make any kind of game, you must restart your whole production. So you're kind of limited. You have these nice constraints based on the game that's already there, and then you can maybe try to figure out some new stuff. And also, I think I watched some Tim Kaine video where he says that one of the hardest things to figure out with game dev is not to find ideas of what to put into the game. It's about figuring out, like, if you think of an idea, then to know if does this idea fit my game? Is it a good idea for this game? It might be a good idea for another game, but maybe it's not good for this game. And having that feeling that, no, actually I shouldn't do that because it doesn't fit with the rest, that's kind of a hard thing. And I think I agree with that. Yeah, let's hello, Sabi Makes Games. Sabi Makes Games asks, how do you do animations with sprite sheets, if you use sprite sheets? I use sprite sheets. I can show you how my animation looks. So for the cat, I think this is the normal running animation. Now I zoomed it up in this. It doesn't do nearest neighbor, the Windows photo viewer, but it's like this, four frames. It's this animation here. I make it in Sprite. I can show how it looks in Sprite. Here, no, that's not how it looks in Sprite. In Sprite, it looks that's the exported data. In Sprite, it looks like this. I have 4 frames, and I can play it, and it plays like that. The way I export it is I go to the export menu in Sprite and choose export sprite sheet, and then I choose to output it as a PNG, and I think these are the default settings, but essentially it puts all the frames like this, one after another. And in the game, if you go to game.odin, you have, what's it called? The player has a sort of, for example, in the normal state, we have the normal state up here, which is a sort of the standard state where you're just walking around like this. It's this one. Then it has an animation, update animation like this, and this animation will be in this state set to the that 4-frame walking animation. And this update animation doesn't do much fancy stuff. There's this idea of an animation instance that has it knows which frame it is on, it knows how long it's been on that frame, and then inside the animated sprite, which is also part of it, it knows how many frames there are and how long each frame is. That's the 4 things you need. You need to know how long is each frame supposed to be, how many are there, and then you need to know which frame am I currently on, and then you need to know what is the for how long have I been on the current frame, and then update animation just uses that, and it's like, okay, it takes the why is this dt equals dt here, whatever. I think it's a old refactor thing. So this one takes the frame timer on the animation instance, which is sort of a pointer here. It takes that one and subtracts the current frame delta time, and then if that number goes equals 0 or less, that means we should go to the next frame. So then it just says current frame plus equals 1. And if current frame is more or equal to the number of frames in animation, then it will say current frame equals 0. I also have some extra stuff here for doing one-shot animations that, you know, stop at the last frame, but you can ignore that. And another extra thing I do down here is that after I change the frame, I set the frame timer to the frame timer plus the frame length plus the frame timer, because this one might be less than 0. So this way you don't lose time. So if this one is half a second, if the frame length is half a second and the frame timer actually went minus 0.1, then this will actually be 0.4 now. So you kind of catch up. You don't lose like a bit of time if you have low frame rate. It's not that important if you have a high frame rate and stuff, actually. It's just something I did at some point. And when you have this stuff, then you can just calculate the rectangle for how to draw your sprite, because then you can go to like draw world. Where's the cat thingy? Here. I need to calculate I have this function to calculate the rectangles from the sprite. So what it essentially does is that the source rectangle is where in the sprite sheet should we take our where in the sprite sheet should we look. So kind of where on this should we look at this square, this square, this square, or this square, you know. So this kind of does that. It takes fetches a texture, and then it says, okay, the source rectangle should start at x equals the number of frames times the width of the textures divided by the number of frames. So the current frame times the width of the texture divided by the number of frames, which will be like the current frame is either 0, 1, 2, or 3, and then the full width of texture is this width here, and then the number of frames is 4. So we get, if this is, I think this is 16 pixels each frame, so it would be 0, 16, 32, 48. So that would be the x value here, and then the y value is always 0 because the rectangle always starts up here, and then the width is just the width of the source rectangle from where to pick is just the width of the texture divided by the number of animation frames, and the height is just the height of the texture, because we have the width is always this and the height is always this stuff. That's the source rectangle, and the destination rectangle is just where in the world to put it, which is the current position of the entity that is using this animation, and then you also have the width and the height and stuff, which is just the it's just the height of these squares. And when you have your rectangles, currently I put it on a list to draw, but later down here is actually where it's drawn. So then it just does in Raylib draw texture pro. It knows which texture, and the texture rect here is the source rectangle we calculated. So it's this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then it draws into a destination rectangle somewhere in the world. And then I also think I set the origin to be, the origin is like, where is 0? Is it in the middle or up in the corner or down here? You can move that around as you wish, depending on your needs. You can also rotate it if you want and stuff. But that's essentially it. So it's just the animation instance is essentially 4 variables that are with the timer and current frame and stuff. And then it makes a rectangle, and then it draws textures. If you want to optimize this, you can always put all your textures into an atlas. I was thinking of doing that, but I haven't done that. It used to be nice to have my whole game in a giant, like, not too giant, but I could probably fit my game in one texture in the end, or maybe 2. We'll see how many, because the resolution is quite low. that was a long aside about animations. The question has come up before, so I just thought I get it out. What more did the chat say? I was taught masonry as a kid. Yeah, so Max was taught masonry as a kid, and every decision when you do masonry, then the past really constrains what you can do at the next step, because you can only. I mean, I've done some woodworking as well. It's you can't change if you've gotten so and so far with your project. You can't just do anything. You have to stay with what you have or start over completely if you want to change it too much. But then those constraints can give you funny ideas of what to do. Like you see, like, oh, I have this table that needs, maybe it would look nicer with a nice edge on it. But you probably wouldn't think of nice edges on tables if you think that I can make anything in wood. What will I make? Oh, weird analogy by me. Anyways, back to the stuff. Long aside about stuff. We are making a climbing state. That's what I was doing. Climbing. Okay. So here's the wall slide state. If jump is held, this might end up a bit buggy at start, but I will just try to move the climbing state into that one so we can get somewhere. Player state climbing, and none of this is important. When you're in the climbing state, you always has a constant upward velocity, and we will try to grab all the time. Grabbing is it looks for these little. The player has here's my debug. I have stuff here. The player has a plop here, and then there's a plop up here, and yeah, the color of these things have turned very bright. That's because I changed how my shader setup is, and that affected my debug colors. So I need to fix that. I used to, I moved, or maybe too many things at once. I'll fix that later. It's not too hard to fix. I just need to draw my debug output separately from where that shader is used, so it doesn't end up using that shader. That's the shader that does the. I do this kind of pixel filtering, so the pixel art don't shake when your camera is moving around, which I have a video on my channel. But then you need to put a shader, and now you currently even the debug output goes for that shader. So. And that shader needs you to have like pre-multiplied alpha and stuff on, so it all gets a bit weird and bright. Player state climbing. Okay, is that it? Can I do this now? And I can remove this else thing here. You see this? You separate into states, it becomes less weird. And then it's just like, okay, I can get out of this state if I still hold jump. This might compile, yeah. And then it climbs, and now you can climb forever. There's no limit. Like we can really go. That's because the climbing state doesn't have any idea of, it doesn't do any of this stuff. I think I can do something quite easy here. That I think it's good if the cat sort of becomes tired when it has climbed far enough, and then it just slides down. So we can do that by, we're in this wall slide state, and then we check if not jump held, or if math.add, like if the distance between the glass ground position and your current position in the y direction is more than 38, then it will do this. But then I also want to have a flag on this one that is like can climb bool, or can't climb rather. So the default state is that you can climb, and yes. The reason some people say it's a bad programming thing to do like negatives in bools and stuff. You should always do a positive thing. But I like, zero is initialization a lot. I like serious initialization or not, and then I'll be like, okay, what's the most sensible default state? Well, it is that if you're in a wall slide state, then you can climb. Therefore, can't climb will be false if I just zero initialize the whole thing. So that's why it's a sort of side effect of catering to zero is initialized a lot, that you sometimes end up with slightly more some of these bools with negative bools, we can call them. But I think that's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, this looks a bit funny actually. Yeah. Also, you can sometimes, if you get annoyed by this names, you can maybe reverse the name of it. Like you can come up with a better name. What's the state called then? It's S, I guess. S.can't climb. Yeah, that just slid down. That was I jump. So what I'm doing here is I hold the right key and then I jump, and then when it gets too high, then the climbing state gets into this thing, and it's like you're gonna slide, but you can never do this again until you enter the wall slide state some other way, which is the you can never come from the climbing state into the wall slide state and climb again. The only bad thing about this is that you can't let go and then start again, but I think that's maybe fine. Okay, that's good. So now we got all that. What's this stuff? If jump plus state. Oh, yeah, this is quite cool. I used to have I can show this. I think this will just work if I uncomment it. I used to have no, okay, it doesn't work. Oh, because it goes into the climb. I think it was when I added so you can climb, I removed the other thing. I used to have like so you can slide on walls and press jump, and then it jumps away from the wall, which is sort of this Mega Man Zero thingadingadoo. No, yeah, I'm not gonna have a stamina meter. It's just that it will be obvious that you can't climb higher. And maybe it should like get a bit slower at the top or something, just before it kind of, because now it's a bit funny. Oh, climb up there. Okay, that's good. And if I remove this one now, then I can climb up. Yes, I can climb up this. Okay, good. Good. So then we have all that. Then I need to figure out now, so let's give the player the flower from the start, so we don't have to go and fetch it. Inventory. I think it's like get all player actions. Yeah, let's just do this. We append to actions a player action of type use item, and the item is .flower. I think then it will just appear here. Yeah. Okay, so what I want here is for this, let's add back some backgrounds here. I want to make it a bit more cavey again. And then we want this. Where is the dark background? Oh, I know why. It needs to be bigger. It's down here. Okay, that looks a bit weird. Okay, we can get away with doing like this for now. Ah, this one is on the wrong layer. Yeah, I think it's behind you. Oh, I'm in the wall. Ooh. Okay. Now we want this. It needs to look different, and then you need to use the item with it to make it like, well, it's like you threw flour on it and then it became like doughy or something. And maybe I need to have a special animation for that. That's a bit more like climbing in the... It almost sounds harder to climb that way. I don't know if this is a good idea, but you know, we'll take this mechanic somewhere, I think. I'm just thinking. Or maybe it's like... Maybe it should be like rock climbing. You know, in rock climbing you have like... I do like bouldering and stuff, and you take this white chalk and put your hands in order to, because your hands get sweaty and it gets hard to grip and stuff. So you have that. So maybe this should actually be like I make some kind of stone texture, and you can throw flour on the stone texture, and then you can climb higher. I will use this a few times in the game. Like I don't like mechanics that you use once, because then it sort of I'm thinking of it a bit like an adventure game, you know, the point and click adventure games where you maybe have an item used once, but I want to have a few items that are recurring, like the flour and stuff that will you will see this kind of stone surfaces. Yeah, maybe it's called talcum powder, or I guess it's in Swedish, it's like it's called kalk. I don't know. Calcium? No, I don't know. Anyway, so maybe we should make a bit of new tiles to put on here. Maybe that's what we should do. So we go to Sprite. So, you know, you see, I have kind of a vague idea when I start this what I want to do, but I'm not sure exactly. But then I kind of try to figure it out a bit as I go. Here's my tile set. Tiles that have a cross over them are not used. So those I can paint over. I think it's like old stuff I threw out. Yeah, chalk is the word. Chalk powder. Okay, so we have a brown wall. By the way, my game currently only has 8 colors, so it's a bit of a... It's always a bit interesting to do some things where I'm gonna add more colors later, but I don't want to do that right now. like when I've gone pass through the game, I would maybe go one more pass over the graphics. So how does this might be hard to do. Maybe we'll do something funny like this. Maybe we can do like a dither fill of brown and black like that. Something. Whoops. You can have the outline. I don't think I used this one over here either. So I'm just doing something like that. And then we pick these two colors, fill it in. Let's do something simpler than that even. Like this. Go into the editor, refresh. Maybe like this. Now of course you can, there's no special thing about this wall yet. So I'm thinking how to, it's a bit of something I haven't done before, because the tiles I place are fairly static. The entities, which are kind of separate, you have to remember I kind of, sometimes things in this game are a bit strange because I just made things up as I went. If sometimes something seems like it should be an entity and maybe the tiles should have more functionality, then yeah, it's a bit all over the place sometimes. I started this game on an airplane back home from GDC this year, and I used to drew a cat that had like a 2-frame animation. I made it walk back and forth on the screen, and the only reason I did that was because I wanted to see like, oh, how is it fun to do a little test thing in Odin. I didn't plan to do anything with it really. But then I was like, I just played with it more. I can show you the oldest. I have it in Discord here. The oldest clip I still have from the game. It's this. I almost had a thread instead. This is my original. This is my first clip I ever made. I missed the sun a bit. Maybe I should re-add the sun. I think it's very jerky, and there's this interesting pancake. I love the jump animation that just gets flat and flies away. But yeah, and then the first thing I did in this game was I spent some time doing animations. I like doing the different like ledge grabs and stuff. But yeah. It's quite fun to have old stuff like that. But anyway, so what I wanted to say with that was this game is kind of created very haphazardly. So I was thinking maybe we add somehow an entity on top of this that sort of makes it a flowerable area. So I can just take this one and I can put something on top. See how easy that is to do. How would I do that? Well, I could use an interactable like this. This is sort of a little interaction system I made at some point. Oh yeah, I need to fix the interactables as well. I haven't done that since. I started doing this new inventory stuff down here. We have actions, and I still can't interact with things like doors and stuff because I can only talk to stuff. I can't activate interactables. Let's maybe fix that first. Well, let's run. I'm all over the place. This needs to be fixed. So we have this door here, and it's like it's trying to, like, you can try to talk to the door, you can try to pick up the door, you can try to put flour on the door, but nothing works because this door is just, you're just supposed to open it with the use button, and none of this is the use key currently. And the use key is what I use for to trigger the interactables. What I'm thinking here is if maybe the use key and the use action down here should be the same as the talk action. But then I kind of like the cat to go around and say stuff about the environment. It looks a bit weird, like this one is gonna say something. Maybe if it's inanimate, maybe the talk bubble is about the cat or something. I just like that you go around and just inspect. It sort of becomes the examine thing from adventure games, to talk to inanimate objects, but sometimes they're actually alive, like the waterfall over there who you can talk to. So I have some keys to cycle between these, and then I can press a button to use them. Okay, for now I'm just gonna add back the use button here. So we're gonna do that. We are gonna do that. Player action. Use item is use item in inventory, and then we have use interactable. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Player action type interact. Let's call it use. So that's good. Then we just compile, get some compilation errors from these switches over here. Case dot use. What is this code? This is where I need to. So this is like, okay, it uses an item, then it tries to use the item handler. Here it's talking, it just tries to start a dialogue. Here's pickup, it takes up an item and puts it into your inventory. And we have this thing. Here we need to use usable. There's a thing called a usable here. And this one has a bunch of actions. So it needs an entity instance of a usable. Okay. So maybe we just do like this then. If usable, okay, equals the variant is usable. I know a little trouble I'm gonna have here. Whatever. Then we take this and make an entity instance of that. That's just, I have a bit of a funny problem here in my game that there's two ways to get entities right. I can get a raw entity, which just fetches, using an entity handle, fetches a pointer to an entity. Then you can use get entity and say this is the entity handler, but this is the variant I expect it to be, and then it returns sort of an entity instance of that one. And the entity instance is just the entity plus the variation with using in front of both, so you can access the fields from both on this object. It's sort of this. It's this fake. It kind of makes it look like it's one object, so it's convenient. The only problem with this is sometimes I noticed that I use get entity raw to switch on the I just use get entity raw, and then later I want to just check with which variant is this currently, and then I have the entity pointer and the variant separately. And then I need to then I had this silly function that just takes the entity pointer and the variant and constructs an instance from both. So it looks a bit funny like that. It's not actually making any entity instance or anything. It's just constructing the... Why? Yeah. Use usable. Let's just do like this. And there's like a remove after use flag there, but I don't think we need that currently. Use item talk. Okay, here it wants the... This needs to be a texture for get texture handle. Is there like a use interact icon? What's it called? There's like a picture in here with let me see, look at all my PNGs here. Pick up item icon. What's that one? Oh yeah, that's the arrow that goes up. And then talk blah blah blah. Maybe it's easier if I look at the pictures. Action button icon is called. Like that. Yeah, and then we now need to go to get all player actions. And next to talk, we need type use. This is just populates this menu we have here. And there it is. Yeah, it worked. I just needed to wire it up so I could open my door again. You can pick the butter up. Okay, so now that works again. That's good. We can fly back to the other side. And now, maybe, somehow, who knows? Wait, why doesn't this one... Why can't I see... The icon for this is action button. Maybe it needs at least one action. Let's just put something random in there. Oh yeah, now it works. It's funny. The action I put on this one is currently player jump. Okay, maybe we can use this. What do we have in this silly menu? Pick up. Trying to figure out the simplest way to build this. It's like I need to put some additional graphics on top here. Just like some chalky powder stuff. But then also when I put the graphics on, I need to make it so that you can climb higher in this area. I have like two different. This is my old system. This is sort of the interaction system that's used for to open the door and stuff. And then I also have let me look at this. You can also, on entities, you can set in code a use item handler, which means that this entity yeah. But then they use what's the best way to build this? Or maybe I use this current system. This current system would essentially maybe will enable a trigger. So as long as you're inside that trigger, then it you're allowed to climb higher, and then it also puts out some graphics. I can do that for now. It's fine. I can do like this. I don't have extras visible. I was like, where did the trigger go? So we can do like this. Press this entity and we say a trigger name here. That's like climb high volume. So just name that trigger. Then we can fetch it later. In trigger. Check if in trigger, then that does some stuff. Yeah, this one doesn't need to do anything, I think. This one is like how did I name it? Climb high volume. Now it should appear here. Climb high volume. You can start with that. We can just make sure this trigger thingy works first. So we can go to, which is the state, player state climbing. And then we can check if in climb high trigger. And then we say is in trigger. Check if in trigger. Who? So you say default collider, right? Okay, default collider is called. That one's the player's position, and then we say dot climb high volume if in climb high trigger, and then we say like max climb height is in climb high trigger. Then we say let's say 54, otherwise it's 38. We do that. We compile this. Yeah, we can make this a float if you want. Little compiler. Now you can climb higher in there. Maybe if we disable this, then you can't, which is sort of what I wanted. So we undisable it, and now you can climb higher. Now we just need some way to, so this one will start disabled, and then this one will be like enable entity, and then you can pick an entity like that. No, it doesn't work. I press this one so you don't see any difference, but then enable the collider, the trigger thingy. I know this is not like maybe the best way to do it. I'm just trying to see what hooks I have, so maybe I can make something general that I can just place out, because I might reuse it later. And then we need a chocky powder. Okay. And I have run out of space in my tile set. You know what that means? Canvas size, make it bigger. Wait, what's 192 plus 16? 208. 208. Save that. Reset this. And there you go. Now you have 4 more rows. And let's see. Wait, I don't think I'm gonna do this as a, I can add the extra rows on the tile set anyways, but I don't think I'm gonna use it as a, you know, I'm gonna use a separate entity to for putting out the sort of chalky stuff. How to represent that best? Maybe we just put some stuff like this. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And then we go into object art and we say chalk. No, it's chalk flower. It's supposed to be used like chalk, but it's flower. This is all getting quite unusual. And then we need to recompile this for the asset database to refresh. And then we need to go here, press new. Start on this stuff. And then I want to place a few entities. Maybe I will make it look something like this instead. So I just put these like this. Maybe like that. And then I would put all these as disabled too. Then I will go here and I will say enable entity. Add a few of these. Enable entity, enable entity. Don't need the last one. We take this one, we enable this one, and we enable this one, and we enable this one. Then we can go up, and it all appears. You can climb. Hooray! I think there's a flag also on this too. Oh yeah, you can destroy yourself. That's how you... There's a delete entity, and then you pick the interactable itself. And then you can only do it once, and then you're done. Hello, after... you're asking what language I'm using to program. I'm using Odin programming language. It's in short, it's you can Google it, but it's like a sort of like C programming language, but modern with all the annoying things that tend to annoy me with C fixed, but without adding like too much new stuff, like many languages today that try to they want to be replace C or C++ or something. They always add a lot of new stuff. Odin is sort of more like about doing sort of what C does, but fixing the annoying things that made it annoying to work in C sometimes. So it has stuff like generics, and you don't have to fight with header files, and there is an actually nice standard library and stuff. But it's still manual memory management. It's still normal compiled language, just and there's like static typing and stuff. So it's all similar to C. Yeah. Let's see over here. Okay, so I got that. Another thing I need to do here is this usable here. There's no way to say that you must have this item, or there's no way to say like I want it to be, you go up and use the flower with it, not the use key. Maybe in the long run there shouldn't be a normal use key. Maybe it should be more like you have things in your inventory, and then for opening doors and stuff there is a use key, but that's maybe there's like a paw or something on the image. It's more like a just push it or kind of do something with it. So because otherwise it becomes like, oh, but sometimes it's unclear if you're supposed to use this one or something like this. I'm thinking of sometimes of the what's it called, the game Full Throttle. It has like 3 action. It has fist, mouth, and foot. That's the 3 actions you have on everything, and then you have your inventory from which you can drag stuff as well. But I think that's quite funny take on adventure games. Okay, so what I was thinking about here is that I want it to be that you're using this item with this thing. Let's see what happens. For now we can do like usable, it's called. And this has a couple of different things. We can also have item required pickup type. I should name pickup type to item type or something, but I haven't. Then we can go to editor and we can say find progress required. Because I just want to. Why is this on a? This should probably be here, right? New progress requirement. You can call it new val. So this will make a drop. This is in the editor for this one. Yeah, we need a drop down here that says which item must you use with this to for something to happen. Item required. Item user must use item. Something like that. Oh, then I'm gonna crash. I wonder what happened. I know. The struct layout changed of that thing, and sometimes I can catch it and fix it, but sometimes it just crashes. Must use item flower. Okay. So currently I can do that. That's not what I want. I want to use this one. Doesn't need a flower. Doesn't game doesn't need flower. Yeah. This is the default item handler. I think I need an item handler. So this is the sort of the new system that's more code driven. It's like all entities can have an item handler, and it's defined in code what kind of item handler they have. You know what, I'm gonna think a bit about this. I think I'm gonna end the streamer for today because I need to go to bed soon. But maybe because as you see, like all this stuff I did here, I know this is not like if I want to reuse this thing, like doing all this stuff, it would be nicer if it was like an entity where I can say this is your item handler, and it just says, okay, you will do like, you will be something that can accept flower, and then something will happen. So it's a bit more code driven, because this system is nice for doing like, I sometimes use it to enable splines on the action key and stuff, because the splines I edit inside the editor. But yeah, but for reusable things, it's maybe not so good. I'm not sure. I will think a bit about this. We'll see what I have for next stream, but maybe I will look a bit more into how I can use the item handlers to, in the editor, say that this one use this item handler when you try to use an item or something with this thing, and then something happens. I just quickly check the chat here. After asks if I recommend using Python for video game development, or do you think there's better ones besides Odin? I don't know, it depends on what you do. If you're just doing a small game, you can probably use Python and Pygame or something. If you want to do a big game, or if it's you care more about having control or like performance, then maybe you should use something like C, C++, Odin, something where you don't have manual memory management and stuff. But yeah, I've seen people do small games in Python, and there are some big game engines that use Python for scripting, especially some in-house engines. But it's not the fastest language. I can say we can say like that. But other than that, lots of people have done stuff with it. But yeah, I have to end the stream here for today. Yeah, I got something working. I still haven't the requirement for using the flower on it, but you know, then I'm starting to think about maybe I should restructure it a bit somehow. We'll see what I come up with. Hopefully something that's a bit less manual labor than this, but we'll see what I do. So have a nice time, and I will see you next stream. Bye.